This is the ancient Texan. Um, a lady from Ukraine sent me a DM on um X, Lillian Kovalenko. I'm sure I'm butchering that name. I'm sorry. She asked me, "What do you think about U.S. dumping Ukraine by not providing additional funds on time? How much time do they give us to try to win this war now?" I don't exactly know what event you're talking about, but I think there's a broader question um, and a way of looking at this that makes the everyday crises make a little more sense. I think Ukraine is caught between three people with different values: Putin, Xi, and Trump. From my viewpoint, all three are immoral. They certainly don't have what the value system that I try to live by. I'm not saying I'm doing a good job, but my value system is to be kind and honest. I could make it more complicated, but just by those standards, it's hard enough. Let's take Trump. I don't think he cares about anybody but himself. And he sees the world as transactional. He doesn't see win win. He sees he's going to win, and secondarily, America's going to win. But even America winning is primarily dictated by uh, is he winning? He's got a lot of corruption going on with the crypto coins, and people buy his crypto coin, and then they can essentially bribe him without any consequences. He's doing deals, his family, with people that he's setting tariffs on. Complete conflict of interest. Um, that's immoral. That is as immoral as you can get. It's corruption. Corruption in America at a level I never thought possible. I I love my country and I hate seeing it corrupted like it is by him. So, Lillian, you're dealing with a guy that doesn't care about you or Ukraine. He doesn't care about anybody but himself. How much time is he going to give Ukraine? I think he doesn't know that answer. I think he's buffeted about by the last person that talks to him. He has no clear conviction about anything. He's looking for an angle on how to make a buck, how to be richer, how to be more famous, how to be more loved. Um, he's doing things that does not endear him to me. I'm not one of these people that think everything he does is wrong and not okay. I think he stumbled into some actions that are good for the U.S., not necessarily because he cares about that, but it happens to coincide with his own personal ambitions. Like being tough on China, I think is makes sense. Um, Trying to reshore uh, companies inside the U.S. However, he has no idea how supply chains even work. Um, and maybe you could use tariffs with a great deal of care to secure the bottom level of the supply chain, but not not up once you get to like automobiles and stuff. The supply chains are so complicated that I don't think anybody could use tariffs wisely. You could use them down in the, like aluminum, iron, steel, but even that, you have to pick your allies and do friend shoring, and then pick your enemies like China. And you need a master plan on how you're going to compensate for China having all the refining capability, which obviously there's no master plan. There's no Bureau of Mines in our future. So you got a guy that's incompetent, is what I'm saying, and immoral, that doesn't care about you. And I think it's just, how much time is he going to give Ukraine? I don't think he knows. It's when does he see an angle to make a buck? Next, you got Putin. Putin is as sadistic and a mean a character as we've ever had in history. He's he's another level of evil compared to Trump. Just by his actions and killing Ukrainians every night and insisting that there's no other way to deal with the NATO than just something was going to happen that he didn't like, but that doesn't give him a right to just start murdering people and stealing children from Ukraine and um, killing people that are surrendering. There's nothing. There's nothing at all moral about him, and he doesn't really care about anybody but himself. That I'm sure you understand, Lillian. Um, Lilia, better than I do. Um, you're caught with a guy that will do anything to restore Russia in his view of them being a great empire. Hopefully, Ukraine won't let that happen, and Europe will support you enough and buy weapons from the U.S. Now, they've obviously let themselves down and Ukraine by not building a military force themselves, and now here at the last minute trying to build one is not. It's not something that happens overnight. Probably take a decade before they have the kind of military that the U.S. has. Now, the third player is Xi. All he cares about is the Communist Party, CPC. If I got the initials right, all he cares about is them staying in power and China becoming the preeminent hegemon technologist in the world. And he's got a pretty good chance of making it happen. If he didn't have a tendency to um, overproduce, which hurts his own country's finances and hurts his own people, he doesn't care that a person in China has to work 6 days a week, 12-hour days, and then he just barely has enough money to pay his food bill and his housing bill. The whole communist system is run for the rich elite, kind of like the whole American system is run for the rich elite. you have three countries, and all three of them are run for the rich elite. We, as the common man, um, are abused in all three systems and not taken care of. Probably the U.S. is the poor person has the most rights and the most chance of having a good life. Um, than China, than Russia. But all three of those leaders and all three of the rich elites are all working for themselves. And the one that's getting the brunt of this, of course, is Ukraine. We're all getting the short end of the stick when it comes to the rich elite. Wealth inequality, that's uh, it's a problem we have. Well, if you happen to be not the rich elite, you think it's a problem we have. The rich elite obviously don't think it's a problem. The Republican Party obviously doesn't think it's a problem. And even the Democrats kind of illustrate that they don't quite get the problem either because they don't focus on affordability like with housing and healthcare and that kind of stuff. And they focus mostly on how bad Trump is. That's what they've been doing for, I don't know how long it is now. It's not a decade, but they're working on it. And Ukraine happens to be at the nexus of these three countries. China does not want Russia to fall because they need their energy resources, and having someone right next to you who completely falls apart is probably not, you know. And as long as they can keep Russia in the game, then that puts a strain on the U.S. and Europe to support Ukraine. So China now says they're not doing military support, but they're supplying a lot of the drones that are coming into Russia. That's military support. In this war, it's a big deal. So Xi is supporting Russia to keep America's tied up. Can't worry about Taiwan either. And the U.S. is trying to keep uh, Ukraine in the game, not out of the kindness of our heart, unfortunately, but because we can't show China that we lack resolve. Because if we don't keep helping Ukraine, then China will think they can do the same thing in Taiwan. I know that's really like back assward motivations. None of them are doing it because they really care about their Ukrainian people and the position they're in. All of them are doing it, number one, for their personal interest. Putin to make a buck, Xi to keep control of his country and the Communist Party. Putin, if he stops now, will get pushed out of office and then pushed out of a window. So all of them are doing it. They don't, none of them care about Ukraine. That's just the way it is. I'm sorry. Um, some of us it really bothers in America. A lot of us it really bothers that we're not standing on principles and that we don't believe in anything anymore in this country. But we're struggling too. There's nothing like Ukraine struggling, but there's a lot of poor Americans that are trying to figure out how to put food on the table and put a roof over their head. So I don't think there is an answer to your question. I think it very much depends on the opportunities those three leaders see to advance their personal agenda. And what happens in Ukraine is actually kind of secondary to their personal agendas. I know that doesn't sound good and you don't want to hear that, Lilia, but that's the way it is. This is the ancient Texan, hoping the world grows some balls and gets some values, but probably not going to happen in my lifetime. Have a good one. Namaste. Be strong, Ukraine.